everyone from the Center for Spiritual Engagement team, stand up. I just want you to know who these people are. Take a look. And we've got some standing back here, Sharon and Julie and Jane and Brian. I want you to know who these people are because as Ann and Nancy squat and say, not us, I want you to know who is on the team because I want you afterwards to feel free to give us comments, feedback, ask us questions. We love to hear from you. Many of the ideas we get for our speaker series, our classes, our outdoor ministry come directly from you. We hear from you, people have an idea, and we talk about it, so we encourage you to speak with us afterwards. In fact, we are meeting with, I believe, 3 people over the next week who are interested in the future in doing a speaker series for us. So, and all 3 of them came to us through introductions in people in St. Luke's. I want to draw your attention to the survey on the table, and before you leave tonight, we'd like everyone to fill out the survey. It only takes about a minute. It's very simple. I also want to point out there's a little flyer, a little half sheet that publicizes our next outdoor adventure ministry, which will be on Saturday, November 22nd, and they're going to hike at Spruce Mountain. That is a really fun group, and different people show up every time, so you can come once and then come again another time, and or just do the things that are interesting to you. Let's see, what else, Jane? Yes, I just want to brag for a minute about our website. We have our new website up and going. It's been going about a month, and the simplest way to find us is to go to the St. Luke's homepage, and there's a button there where you can click on our logo and go to our website. And things are updated weekly. Sam Leahy puts a weekly meditation, reflection. We were toying with the word, a weekly reflection on there. Very simple, small, not small, but short, easy to read. And there's sometimes a scripture or a quote, and it changes every Monday. So I encourage you weekly to check in and see what she has to say and share. And there's always information about our upcoming events, as well as the history of events. We also have a donation basket over there, and you are welcome to leave donations for our group as you leave. We have realized that there are expenses that come with putting on events, and so we've started a little donation at each of our events. So just even $5 is a big help to us. And I think that's all the housekeeping I have. I would like to introduce Kimba Ashworth. Kimba was here back in February on a miserable cold night with snow and ice, but she was delightful, and she held a class afterwards that we've got a lot of great feedback from people that they learned a lot from Kimba, and so we said we want to have you back. So here she is, Kimba Ashworth. She's a certified eating psychologist, and I'm just going to turn it over to her. You've got your own mic on?
It's not on yet. There it is. Thank you so much for having me back. And I am so excited to talk about holiday food. It's one of my favorite topics as an eating psychology coach. I get a lot of people who struggle with food during the holiday time. And I know I did as well when I was struggling with my weight. There's a excitement that comes as a child around the holidays, and I have lots of memories around my food experiences with grandparents and my mom and my aunts and grandmas in the kitchen, and the pies and the cookies and candy. And then into my early adulthood, when I was struggling with my weight, I would face the holiday season with a lot of stress and worry, afraid I was going to gain a lot of weight. Also afraid of seeing family members after a year, and were they going to comment on whether my weight was up or down from the last time they'd seen me. So what I want to do tonight is talk to you about how we can enter this season with a celebration of the holiday season and celebration of what the role food plays in that. So let's just start out by everybody call out what's a favorite food that is coming up for the holidays? Mashed potatoes, gravy. Yes. Yeah, yams and marshmallows, good. Divinity, great. Chocolate pie, cranberry sauce, banana cream pie, turkey, great. Stuffing. Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, good. Okay, now let's think about what else do you have in anticipation of for the holiday season? What other events or feelings or what else is coming up for you besides food? Presents. Family, bills, decorating, music. Family. Yeah. Anxiety over family. Absolutely, yeah. Stress. Work parties, good. Yeah. What was that? Alcohol. Does anybody anticipate a little bit of grief? Do we miss our loved ones that have passed during this time a little extra? Yeah. Excitement, fun, extra chores. I know you all have shows and musicals and all of that here. Yeah. So our schedules get a little extra busy. And we have all of these extra emotions, all of this extra food. So I think I skipped my cute slide. This is the only one with pictures, so enjoy. But so I want to talk about emotional eating. This is a topic that I think we'll get into how I think it really plays a role in the holidays. And this is the classical definition: unwanted act of eating driven not by hunger, but by hard to manage emotions. Does that sound about right? Right. And emotional, has anybody ever said or heard someone say, I'm an emotional eater? Yeah, and it gets a bad rap. It's not considered a good thing to be an emotional eater. So what I'd like to do is redefine emotional eating for you. I want to invite you to consider that emotional eating is really the natural state of being a human. We have to eat, and we experience feelings, and sometimes they happen at the same time. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And in fact, that could be celebrated. So just ponder that a little. Okay, let's talk about why do we eat? What's the first thing that comes to mind? We say, why do we eat? We're hungry. We have a physical need, right? It's a biological requirement. We must eat to survive, right? Our bodies require energy, nutrients, vitamins, minerals. We have to eat, okay? And it's important that we put intention around our physical need for food. And that's when, we actually pay attention to what we're eating. And we choose high quality food with lots of nutrients. If you don't eat high quality food, you have to eat a lot more food. If you eat low quality food, your body doesn't get what it needs, and so your body reacts with hunger, so you have to eat more, okay? So this is always a first tip in any time, holidays or not, high quality food. Choose the highest quality food you possibly can at all times, okay? Another reason we eat, and I'm going to call this not emotional eating, but emotional nourishment. Can anybody think of a time that you eat something that your body really doesn't need, but it's an important part of the experience? Dessert? Halloween candy. Yeah, yeah. Popcorn at the movie. Football games. Yeah, yeah. Like, I don't eat hot dogs anytime except when I go to a baseball game, and I love a hot dog at a baseball game. Yeah. What about birthday cake? There's no nutrient requirement in a birthday cake. And yet, it's a great celebratory part of a birthday, right? And this is, in the holidays, this is a really important thing to embrace. It's so important to acknowledge that we have emotional attachments to the foods during the holiday season. There's a legacy, there's history from our families, there are memories, there are lots of emotions wrapped up in these foods. I want to tell a little story. I have a memory, and I think it's probably a combination of several years wrapped up into sort of one memory of getting ready for Thanksgiving dinner at my grandmother's house. I always would help her set the table, and we would have so many dishes, they wouldn't fit on the table. All in the fancy china, the crystal, mashed potatoes and the gravy in the fancy gravy boat, and the salad and the green bean casserole and this weird asparagus with cream sauce thing she made every year, and sweet potatoes with marshmallows and stuffing and turkey and ham and homemade rolls and orange jello with bananas and cranberry sauce. And she always had a crystal platter with the carrots and the pickles and tons of black olives because all the grandkids wanted to put them on their fingers and eat them. And she would be so proud of what she's preparing for the family. 14 of us sitting down to the table. My grandfather would always say the prayer, and every single year end the prayer with, "Amen, pass the potatoes." And now my grandparents are gone, and every Thanksgiving, whoever says the prayer ends the prayer with, "Amen, pass the potatoes," and we all laugh and are so grateful. It's a memory that is wrapped around this whole eating experience for me. And when I think of it, when I tell it, I feel really good. I feel warm. I feel joy. I feel sentimental, nostalgic. Those feelings are really good for my body. They're good for my metabolism. I'd like you all to think, if you can think of a memory from a holiday last year or 30 years ago, and each person take a turn at your table and share just about a minute. Share your memory, and if there's food wrapped up in it, share about that. And really, as you're sharing, share what feelings come up for you as you tell about it. About 2 more minutes, so if everyone hasn't shared, make sure. Okay, is there anybody that didn't get a chance to share? No? Okay. All right, so what are some of the emotions that were coming up for everyone? Joy. Happy. Humor. Trepidation. Yeah. Love. Yeah. Yeah. Did you say grossed out? Yeah. Good. So sitting in those emotions impacts our physiology. There's a chemistry to our emotions. And when we are able to sit in the emotions that feel really good, the biochemistry is very positive to our metabolism, to how we're able to digest our food, metabolize our food, calorie burn our food. It's increased. And so if we are afraid of emotional nourishment, then we are in fear and stress, which has the opposite effect on our metabolism. So the bottom line here is encouraging us to embrace the positive outcomes of emotional nourishment. Let go of self-judgment and self-criticism and guilt. Eating these foods this time of year can be a really good thing. Okay, so obviously there are probably more than 3 reasons why we eat, but I've chunked them down into 3 categories, and I think I could probably argue to put everything into one of the 3 if I was pushed to. But so the third one, reaction to lack or deprivation. This is the one that often causes us to eat when we don't really want to eat. When we are reacting to rules and diets. When we have food rules, forbidden foods, or we're calorie counting or gram counting and keeping everything just so, it often creates a space for us to be obsessive about food, and we feel like we're in lack. If we are in lack in our mind, our body is going to support that mindset. If our body is going to react to being in lack, We lose appetite control. We become hungry. Our body actually takes on a physiological state of wanting more food if we have a mindset that we are being deprived. Reaction to feelings of stress. Stress is usually a mindset of lack. Lack of time, lack of money, lack of control. We're putting our body in a state of famine. We're in lack. So our body wants to hold on to fat. Our body wants to tell us to eat more. Our brain turns off our appetite control center when we're in lack. Shame. Usually shame is feelings of lack of worth, lack of importance, lack of love. Our body reacts the same way. Reaction to depriving ourselves of pleasure. Often if we're not getting pleasure in other areas of our life, our body then will help us find it from food. So even this is not a bad thing. Your body's supporting you. Your body is helping you not feel lack. However, a lot of these are perceived lack. And if we can change our mindset to a place where we live in abundance, then our body wants to live in abundance as well. If your body feels abundance, it doesn't need extra. It doesn't need extra fat. It doesn't need extra food. It doesn't need extra pleasure because you're getting all you need. Okay? So I'm going to take these three concepts and we're going to talk about what holiday healthy eating tips fit into these categories. So first of all, feed yourself well. Really important all the time, but at the beginning when we talked about everything that's coming up this season, all of the extra stress, extra busy schedules, all of that, your body needs nutrients and energy. So put extra attention on every meal, high quality food. And don't skip meals. It's a common mistake. You have parties coming up, so you're going to cut back before the party so that you can feel like it's okay to eat at the party. It backfires because you're so hungry by the time you get to the party, you have no appetite control. Feed yourself well every day, even the days before Thanksgiving, the days before Christmas Day, the days before your parties. Have a good meal. Put your body in a place of really well-fed, high nutrition, so that then you can go with appetite control and really enjoy the special foods for their flavor and their emotional nourishment that they give you. Okay. This is a tip: have convenient, healthful foods available. It's something I like to do, especially during busy times, is just make sure I've got fruit that I can grab as I'm running out the door when I forgot to eat breakfast, or have things on hand. Make a big pot of soup on Sundays so that you can heat up a bowl throughout the week for lunch or dinner when you don't have time. Have things ready so that you're not caught in that crunch of I have nothing to eat and so I'll just skip it, or I'll stop by the drive-through of something that doesn't really feel good. All right. Let's go to emotional nourishment. And so, like we talked about, the psychobiology of nourishment goes way beyond nutrients when we're talking about emotional nourishment. When you can eat from a place of really enjoying feeding your spirit along with your body reacts with a really beautiful metabolism. This stress and relaxation response has been studied, and you can talk about the actual chemistry that happens with cortisol and insulin. And when those are reduced because we are in pleasure, we're in relaxation, our digestion, our metabolism, all of those relaxation responses are enhanced. So really embrace this. And then eat slowly and mindfully. This is always a tip for anyone who is struggling with food. When we eat too fast, we don't know we ate. And then we have to eat more. Okay? This is really important for emotional nourishment. Don't miss it. If you're sitting around the table with your family and, someone cooked for 2 or 3 days to prepare this food and you eat in 15 minutes and you're off to the football game, you miss it. Take it in, really enjoy, savor the experience along with the food. Really immerse yourself in the whole experience. And speaking of the cooks, I really believe that our food takes on our intentions from the very beginning, the way that it is produced, the way that it's prepared, and the way that we eat it. If you're the one cooking, think about that when you're cooking. I think most people who cook for the holidays are in a state of preparing for people they love. They're making something because they care. Put that intention into your food. It gets in. And then as the eaters, see how fully you can receive that when you're eating. Does anybody have a mom, grandma, aunt, somebody who shows their love through cooking? Yeah. And how do we acknowledge them for that? Acknowledge their hard work and actually acknowledge, hey, thank you so much for caring about me and putting all of this effort and love into the food. It's appreciated. Yeah. Acknowledge that sharing food strengthens connection. I recently, this is something I've often thought about, the difference between when I eat with friends and family versus eating alone. It's a very different experience. And even just, how many times when we get together do we include food? Right? We say, let's go out to dinner, or you come over for dinner, or let's go grab a happy hour, or whatever. We want to commune with friends and family with food. I just recently read a scientific article where they were testing the oxytocin in primates who shared food versus those that didn't. It was double in the primates who were sharing food with each other. Oxytocin is the love chemical. It's the bonding chemical. It's the chemical that a mom and baby exchange when they're first nursing. It's a chemical when lovers are together, they exchange this chemical. It brings people together. It causes connection. This same chemical is released in our body when we share food with each other. I think that's really cool. And it makes sense to me to sit down to big family gatherings or having friends over and sharing food. So this is amazing, beautiful part of human nature. And I don't want anybody to fight this, because then you miss it. Yeah.
It occurs to me before there what today's lifestyle so often really fights against that item 4B, taking the time to put something into cooking. Schedules, work 2 jobs, everything like that demands on our time. Because sometimes you just quickly pop something in the microwave and that's about all I do with this. Not too much intention in microwaving food.
There isn't. I know. I agree. And I think there are times when we participate in the way of the world right now, and that's how our life is. So there can still be some intention in saying a prayer over the food as it's in the microwave, praying for the microwaves to heat evenly so that you don't have the cold in them. I don't know. but still, no matter how you're going about preparing and getting your food, putting intention around asking for it to nourish you in the best possible way. And this is so much of eating psychology, is that yes, what you eat is important, but how you eat and what you think about the food is just as important. So the love that you put into that microwaving matters. Yeah. Yeah. Does anybody else have any comments about emotional nourishment? Yeah. All right. Eating in reaction to deprivation. So I want to talk about, first of all, I want to mention dieting, and I didn't put it up here, but usually when we're dieting, and when I say diet, I don't mean that I'm a vegetarian or that I eat paleo. Those I would call like a nutrition plan that I've decided works for my body. I would say a diet is when I am eating in a way that I'm emotionally attached to. Because I believe if I eat this way, I'm good, and if I don't, I'm bad. Or I believe that this diet will have an outcome that will make me like myself more. I call that a diet. And I don't believe diets do good for us. Because it puts us in this mindset. We are in the belief that I have to do something to like myself. I have to do something to be lovable. I have to do something to be important. That has me living in a state of lack all the time. My body then reacts. And then we're fighting constantly with trying to lose weight, and our body's trying to hang on to it. So I'm going to go back to that very first tip, feed yourself well, because when we don't, we put ourselves in a place of deprivation. And this is not always an emotional state, but an actual physical state of deprivation. If we're not getting enough nutrients, our body reacts with hunger, and then we're eating in reaction to that. Okay? Relaxation management. And I call it this instead of stress management, because we all talk about how stressed we are and we need stress management. But what do you do to relax? So put emphasis on relaxation management. When you feel stress response, especially if you're sitting down to the table, take a moment and put yourself into relaxation. Take a few deep breaths, because if you're stressed, you don't have appetite control. This turns off the part of your brain that controls your appetite when you're in stress response. Relax first. It will also help you be less hungry unless you're actually in physical need, okay? And we talked about the fat storage. Stress response has us store fat because our body believes we need it, believes there's a famine coming. Why else would we be freaking out? Okay? No rules or forbidden food. This is a really big tip for the holidays. And this comes from most people who are on a diet. I believe if I eat that, I'm a bad person, or I will be less good, or I will get fat and lose love. Don't create that sense of lack for yourself. And this isn't the same thing as saying, I'm going to eat the whole pie. Because think about, there's these two scenarios. I've been in both. One where you eat some of grandma's pie or this really delicious meal, and you walk away thinking, oh, that was so good, I could have eaten the whole pie. That feels good. Or there's the time where you walk away oh, I can't believe I ate the whole pie. That doesn't feel good. So put some awareness around no forbidden foods and pay attention to your body and what it wants to. Okay, address your fears. So anybody afraid of gaining weight over the holidays? Yeah. This can be a big fear. And what that does is put us in a stress response. It puts us in, we're afraid that something will happen that will have us lose importance or worth or love. What about, I said shame in relationship, and what I'm referring to here is, like I used to have every time I showed up at my grandparents' house after about the age of 20, one of my grandparents would comment on my weight. Either, wow, you looks like you've lost weight this year, or, wow, you gained a little this year. And either way, it didn't feel great because I felt like it mattered what I looked like, whether they loved me more or less. This came up for me not just in weight with family, but I would be afraid of their judgment around what else was going on in my life. The year after my first divorce, I was really terrified to go home to Grandma and Grandpa and feel their judgment. Afraid that I would be seen as less. The year I dropped out of college, and then, of course, the year that I graduated college, I was excited to go and feel, oh, now they love me more again. You know, there's these fears in relationship that we're faced with, and a lot of times this comes up in the holiday because we are seeing these people who we've grown up respecting and really wanting their approval and their love. Basically, fear of not being enough. Yeah. Anybody want to get vulnerable and share? Anybody have an experience like that? Yeah.
Every time I go back to the East Coast in the summertime, because we go back every year, I'm always worried about am I having this year than I was last year.
Yeah.
And nobody ever really said anything except my mother. She's got and it was only a concern, but I was so ashamed of that. And it's still hard. I mean, it's hard.
Yeah. And does it impact the way that you're able to enjoy being there?
Somewhat.
Yeah. Yeah, and you made a good point too. People don't always have to say anything. We sometimes are assuming what everyone's thinking. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm no longer the problem. Nobody else seems to have what she wants.
Yeah. It can be intense. Yeah. Yeah. I want to do a little, I'm going to draw, let me see. Can everybody see this the way that it is? Yeah? Okay. So I'm going to draw this graph. I used to be a scientist. I like graphs. Okay, so we're going to say this is happiness. And I believe that everybody has a homeostasis for their happiness. Some people are, say, like a 4, just kind of 4 out of 10 happy all the time. Some people are an 8, right? It's just kind of the way that we live. And so I'm going to say, here's this person, and this is their homeostasis happiness. And you know, life doesn't look like that though, right? We actually do things like this, right? Like, you know, we fall in love and break up. And there have been studies where someone will, say, win the lottery, right? And they stay here for a while, but they come right back down to here, right? Or somebody will lose some weight, and they end up right back down. And what's happening here is the belief system that keeps us here. The belief system that keeps us here is that if I had more money, I'd be this happy. So you get a whole bunch of money, and you find out, super fun for a bit, but that isn't what made you happy. So you're coming right back down to where you started. If I lost weight, I'd be happy. People will lose a bunch of weight, find out they're not any more happy. They come back down and gain it back. One thing that you do see, though, is this happens. Somebody will do this. What do we call this? Rock bottom, depression. And then what happens? They might come back up here for the rest of their life. What happens here? Their belief systems break because they find themselves down here at rock bottom, and they've got none of these things, money, spouse, whatever it is. They've got all that's left, their heart, God, faith. And all of a sudden, now their belief systems are, I'm enough the way that I am. So, I'm talking about this when we talk about address your fears. Are you afraid of not being enough? That is because you're holding the belief here that I am not enough as I am right now. If you can take a look at your faith, take a look at what you believe, look at what we're celebrating coming up in the holidays here. You know, I am love incarnated in this body. I am, Christ is born in my heart every year. No matter what I look like, no matter how much money I have, no matter how much I weigh, I am love. God is in me. And those beliefs have us come here and live at a happier place. When you're addressing your fears, especially around facing shame, facing the fear of gaining weight, ask yourself what's underneath. What would happen if I gained weight? What am I afraid would happen? I'm afraid I'd lose love. I'd lose importance. I'd lose worth. And when you actually acknowledge that that's what you're afraid of, then your belief systems can surface, and you can remind yourself, wait a minute, I am love. I can't lose love. I am love. I'm made of love. The universe is love. There's no such thing as not being enough love. I can't lose that, no matter what. There's some fun little fears that come up, I think, during the holidays, too, that we can address here. Like, anybody get stressed out about what to get somebody for Christmas? Like, if you don't get them the right present, they're going to be disappointed. You're going to lose their love. Yeah. All kinds of little things like that can come up. So even the little ones, we can constantly remind ourselves, what am I really afraid of? And let yourself lighten up. Give yourself that relaxation. Bring yourself back into center, back into the holiday spirit, back into You know, what is the season all about, right? What's the cliche, remember the reason for the season? I want to address, I know I've talked a little bit, and I think a couple of people mentioned anxiety about being around family, right? That's a big one for the holidays. So again, we can look at addressing your fears, but also I want to talk about the family members who trigger us, right? The family members who, when we face them, they maybe say something about our weight, or they make comments that make us feel icky. And remember that we are all reflections of each other. And so when someone that loves you says something hurtful, can you have compassion for the painful place that is coming from? You are a mirror for them. There's something painful in their lives, in their soul, that they are expressing to you. The weight thing is always an easy one for me to talk about. My grandmother that often made comments, she was never overweight, and so it felt like it was coming from kind of a righteous place. Like I had to take it from her because she never had a problem. But later in life, I found out from her that she fought with herself her entire life. Like, she was very restrictive with food. She was always exercising. She always was so afraid of being fat. And so she projected that on everyone around us, including me as a teenager and older, making comments about my belly. She made comments about my parents all the time that were hurtful. And you see that it was all this angst inside of her. She lived her life terrified that she wouldn't be loved if she didn't have this very slender body. So remember to see that reflection when someone says something hurtful. Can you breathe and breathe out the compassion? Oh, that person's feeling a lot of pain. They're hurting. Something about that thing that they're commenting about is really painful for them. Yeah. I want to do another exercise. And so what I'd like is for everyone to just get one partner. And if you can have a partner that you didn't come with tonight, so maybe somebody that maybe you know each other but not super well. Partner up. Okay, raise your hand if you don't have a partner. Just you? Sally, are you the only one? Okay, I'll work with Sally after I give the instructions, then we'll have them turn my mic off. Okay, so first of all, figure out who's partner A and who's partner B. Okay. Okay, and what you're going to do is you're going to take turns. B will go first, and you will, I love doing that. Okay, and you're going to describe to the other person why you love somebody. So think of someone in your mind. It could be a family member, a friend, a lover, a child, a grandchild, anyone that you dearly, deeply love. And you don't have to tell the person who it is, but just describe why you love this person so much. Okay, so B goes first, and then A. I'll give you, we'll do 1 minute each. Okay, go ahead. Okay, so now the bees are going to go again, and you are going to tell the same thing that you just told, only I want you to replace that you were saying about him or her with me. I love myself because, and use all of the same statements that you just used. Okay? Okay. How was that? It was not good. You couldn't do it. Why not?
Done it for years.
So it was hard for you to see that you would love yourself in the same way that you love someone else. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Anybody else? Interesting? Yeah. Yeah, right? So I was just talking about how we are mirrors, reflections of each other, right? When someone projects their pain onto you, right? Can you have compassion? It works this way too. We project our love of ourselves onto those around us. The things that we admire and love about somebody are often things that we hold tight inside of ourselves. Yeah. I think it's a nice reminder to appreciate the mirrors, either way. Whether you're seeing something that doesn't feel good or you're seeing something that feels good, either way. We are all God's children, reflecting humanity back and forth. Yeah.
This might not be right on topic, but I just read something too that was talking about people were perceived as more beautiful per se, based on personality or even descriptions of their personality. If they were described as kind and empathetic and such, then people just naturally perceived them as more beautiful, which is interesting.
I think that's absolutely true. I've definitely experienced the other way around, where you see movie star type looking person and then you meet them and they are cold and then they lose some of their attractiveness. So yeah, I think our perceptions of beauty definitely are not skin deep, right? much deeper. Yeah. Good. All right, so I want to have more discussion about what are we celebrating? What is Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's? What do these things mean to you? Anybody? Family. Tradition. Yeah. Love. Family's love, God's love. Yeah. Yeah. What was that? Gratitude, right? Life. Yeah. Abundance. Yeah. Yeah. Living in abundance. What was that? Time. Right? These moments can be precious to spend with family. I have often thought, as my parents are getting older, I start thinking, how many more Christmases do I have with them? If I'm lucky, I've got 20 more. Start counting them down, they become precious. Yeah.
I think this time of year you're celebrating a lot of hope too. That's why I love this time of year, because people get hopeful and really looking forward to things.
Yeah.
It's a whole different animal.
Yes. Anticipation, hope. Yeah. Relationships. Yes. I think relationship is one of the keys to life. Relationship to anything. Relationship to self, relationship to spirit, relationship to people. Yeah. Yeah. Good. This is all I have. We went a little bit faster than I expected. So I think there are handouts on the table. These would be what I would call my healthy holiday eating tips. And we can just basically review quickly what we talked about. Number 1, feed yourself well. Put intention on good nutrition. 2, acknowledge and embrace emotional nourishment. Don't be afraid of it. It is a good thing. It's powerful medicine. Cook with intention. If you're cooking, baking, preparing food this season, add love, joy, care, hope, peace into your recipes. And don't forget, as eaters, to acknowledge our cooks who feed us with that intention. I think there are some people that don't know how to show it other ways, and they do show it that way. So it's good to acknowledge. Remember, don't create rules for yourself. No forbidden foods. Don't create the space to cause obsession or feelings of lack around food. It just kind of sabotages the whole thing. Pay attention to portion size. I didn't talk about this at all, but this is, it's kind of common sense, but I think we forget, if we're going to have a meal of turkey, mashed potatoes and gravy and green beans, and that was it, you can imagine the portion size of each thing you'd put on your plate. But when you add salad and sweet potatoes and rolls and pie and stuffing and, however many 20 dishes are on the table, you maybe don't want to take the same amount that you think, you need to rethink your portions. I don't need the same amount of turkey, mashed potatoes, and green beans if I'm also going to add 10 more things on my plate. You can always go back for more. I have never been to a holiday meal where there wasn't food left over. So let yourself have everything you want in small portions, and knowing if you're still hungry, go back for more, okay? Listen to your body. And this is that, stop when you feel satisfied. Ask yourself the question, am I going to feel uncomfortably full if I keep eating? If the answer is yes, stop. And listen to your desires. Sometimes we don't stop because we're afraid we're going to miss out. It's time for pumpkin pie, and we're stuffed, but we eat it anyways because we don't want to miss out on that emotional nourishment part of the pumpkin pie eating, right? What if you ask to take a piece home with you and you can have it for breakfast with your coffee, and then you can savor the pumpkin pie then, right? So listen to your desires and make a plan. You can still have it. You can still have it, yeah.
You know, and the need to clean up eat everything you took.
Clean up your plates. How many doors did we have that
Piece
for
of
children?
plastic over it and save it for
Yeah,
later.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, take it home. Take your Tupperware and your purse to your dinner and take some home with you. I do when I go to my mom's, because I know she's sending food home with me. So, yeah.
I have a friend who asks people who come to her home to bring Tupperware, and she puts it all in a casserole kind of thing, and in layers, and then they can cook it another day, and it's a casserole.
That is neat. I like that. So she puts like the potatoes and turkey and stuffing and gravy in a. Cool. Good idea. Okay. Don't forget our relaxation strategies. Stressful time of year. It's okay that you're stressed out. And remember that eating is not the time to stay in stress response. So take a deep breath before you eat. Yeah. And tune into what's underneath your fears. Ask the question, when we're talking about, what am I afraid of here? What is God asking me to learn? Asking me to learn that I don't need to be afraid of lack of love or lack of importance or lack of worth. Reminding me that I am a child of God. What is God asking you when you're facing these fears? And I would say the final tip is receive the abundance of the season. Really receive it. Let yourself enjoy. Really take in all of the emotional nourishment, whether it comes from food or whether it comes from music or whether it comes from activities with family, however you're getting it, enjoy it. Really take it in. Really let yourself have it, and let your body totally flourish from that. Yeah. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? I love questions, so ask me anything. Yeah.
So you spent a lot of time talking about nutrition-rich foods and you didn't really define it for us. And I'm assuming that's because we talked about this more in the spiritual part of this.
Sorry.
And I'm assuming nutrition-rich is not Tootsie Rolls. It's really disappointing. Because I would be right there.
If it was just okay.
Peanut butter cups.
But without getting into like specifics or some kind of defeating purpose of what you're trying to do tonight,
How do I define nutrient-rich food? It's a big question, and it's very personal, I think. I would say high-quality protein and high-quality vegetables are really, really important. Fruit is great, really, really good as well. And how you get your protein and your vegetables and your fruit is kind of up to you and up to what works for your body. When I work individually with people who are struggling with food, it's a lot of trial and error. And I mean, at this point in most of our lives, we've trialed and errored a lot already. So we know what things feel good, like actually feel good versus taste good. And hopefully we find things that taste good and feel good in our bodies at the same time. I don't prescribe to any certain diet. Like, I don't think that there's one diet that fits everybody. I think that we are all so individual that you really have to, figure out for yourself what works for your body and your lifestyle. But when you're choosing food, I would say always, always, always choose a vegetable with whatever else you're eating, whatever it is. And always, always have a protein. And the rest of it is kind of in everything anyways, so you don't really have to worry about getting enough sugar these days. A Tootsie Roll now and then will take care of that, so. Yeah.
How do you just paying attention to yourself, your body when you've eaten, say, a steak? How does your body process it, and how do you feel after you eat a steak versus how you feel after you eat chicken or fish, and what it does to your whole system?
Yes, that's true.
Paying attention to that.
Paying attention, yeah, and you kind of have to pay attention your whole life because we change. As our bodies change, sometimes our nutritional requirements change. So it's not a lesson we learn one time. It's a journey of being alive in a body. That how do we nourish ourselves is a question that you kind of have to ask every day. Yeah.
We have a 4-year-old daughter, and I find myself wondering or even with friends who I've noticed have lost weight and that kind of thing. I guess I find do you say, oh, it looks like you've lost weight, or just how to be supportive without making it an issue?
That's a great question. And since you asked, I'll get on my soapbox. I don't think it's ever, ever, ever appropriate to comment on someone's weight, ever, no matter what. I think it puts emphasis on something that is not important. We live in a culture of fat phobia and skinny entitlement, and I think that needs to change. And the way it changes is in our own circles of family and friends. So I think if you notice that one of your friends seems happier, that's where you comment. Wow, you seem really happy. What's going on with you? Or the opposite. Hey, you seem really down. What's going on? Like, notice the things that really matter to connection. Because weight doesn't matter. Fat doesn't matter. It just doesn't. And as long as we're putting focus on it one way or the other, we're making it more important than it needs to be.
Because I think people kind of expect people to comment on it too.
Yeah, for sure. Somebody works really, really hard losing weight. I think there's an opportunity if someone asks you, says, like, hey, I've been dieting, can you tell? And I think at that time, it's worth a comment of like, wow, you're glowing, or even like, wow, you must be working really hard, but not, oh my gosh, you look so thin. Yeah.
I like that you made a distinction between the word diet and what I consider to be healthy eating habits.
Right.
And healthy includes not just physical nourishment of the body, but all of the other aspects that nourishes us. And for Christmas, for instance, or Thanksgiving, I think it's okay to not be so rigorous in terms of what the eating habits are. It's one day out of the year or 2 days out of the year, and just enjoy it. If you're cooking yourself, cook what you enjoy cooking, or if you're invited somewhere, eat what's being served. and don't worry about your eating avatar for the rest of the year.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Not specifically holiday eating, but do you recommend a particular process or approach to identifying those foods that we may not get along with as well as others, like a cleansing diet and then adding them back, or that sort of thing? I've been
Yeah.
through that to identify some things that hurt me, but
Yeah, sure. If you're experiencing issues, digestive trouble, especially after eating, then yeah, elimination diet is the way to start. And you cut out basically eggs, soy, wheat, dairy. Yeah, yeah. Processed food in general, yeah. And you need to do that for about a month and see if you feel better. And if you do, then the question is, how much better do you feel? Do you feel enough better that you want to stay completely free of all those things forever? Or would you like to one at a time add them back and see which one of them is really the problem? So you just kind of play with how your body reacts. But those are the most common foods that give people trouble. So, yeah. It can be hard with the you have to prepare everything yourself, really. Everything we buy has one of those in it at least, if not all. Yeah. Yeah. Anything else? Quiet? Yeah.
No, I'm just sitting here thinking about how I wish that I wish everybody could hear what you're talking about, first of all, because I think it's so important. And I'm especially thinking about the media images that are so strong. Well, actually, I think it's young men and young women that can be so overwhelmed by that. So I'm just curious, I guess, do you tend to work with people that are like teens and young adults a lot in your work?
Yeah. It's such a rich time. Teens, I think till about 30 actually, when it's actually an important time, I think, for that age group to learn their identity from external validation. And in today's culture, it's brutal. It's really brutal. Social media and people are being told that they're pretty or not pretty online, and young men are really coming up with struggles around body image now too. All of the imagery is abs and muscles, and they're no fat, and so the guys are either too skinny, or they're not muscular enough, or they're chubby, and it's an important time for the people closest to those to give them external validation that they need. And it's also an important time for them to start recognizing who they want to be. That comes from their internal wisdom. Yeah.
So I guess kind of along those same lines, I guess probably just by modeling it, but how do we, when we have little kids like this, how do we make it not about the food, or not that we get treats because we ate a vegetable or never done that, of course, but
Yeah, there's certain goal in there, yes.
no breakfast and frozen stuff. How do you teach them? Is it really just the modeling and kind of helping them, and little still, so.
Yeah. I think parenting is one of the hardest things in the world, no matter what. And Modeling is your key word there. I teach a class that is mind-body nutrition for parents. The class is for the parents. It is not for the kids. It is, our kids are amazingly observant. They are not, they're not very good interpreters, however, right? They notice everything, but they interpret things not quite the same, right? So that goes for what we tell them as well, right? And like you're saying, like the bribery for vegetable, I've done that. It's just trying to get these kids, we so care about them and want them to be healthy and happy, and they eat the way they watch those around them eat. They look at themselves the way their parents look at themselves, right? You smile at yourself in the mirror in front of your kids, and you dance naked in front of the mirror in front of your kids. It's important. It's important for them to see you love yourself, see you take good care of yourself, see you put yourself first before them, so that they know, it's important that mom takes care of herself and then she takes care of us, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Kimba. I want to remind everyone about the surveys, the evaluations that are on your table. If you'll just take a minute before you leave. Kimba finished a few minutes early so that we have time to do that. Yeah, that's right.